Oh my gosh, it's happening. It's happening. Obsidian is working on the next Fallout. According to some very strong sources, not Obsidian themselves, we're going to be talking about it today. My name's Nikki. This is the New Vegas talk show where we play New Vegas and talk about different things. I originally had a different episode planned, but I actually recorded it. But this news dropped, and I was like, all right, we're pushing that one back. We're going to talk about this. If you're new here, hit subscribe. I actually got some takes that I don't think people are going to talk about here because I have some setting speculations, and I have some thoughts about what I think the team's going to do. So quick recap. Basically, Xbox just fired a bunch of their employees. Like, we're talking like mass layoffs across all of their studios. And among them that got hit were Bethesda, the creators of the newer Fallouts, Fallout 3, 4, Fallout 76, and even Obsidian got hit, the creators of Fallout New Vegas. And if you're not aware of I mean, if you're on my channel, you know this, but Obsidian is actually made up of a lot of employees that worked on the original two Fallout games, Fallout 1 and 2. That studio, Black Isle, originally Interplay, went defunct a long time ago, and the people that worked on those two games went and formed this new studio, Obsidian, and they worked on Fallout New Vegas, as well as a bunch of other games, Avowed, Outer Worlds, all those other stuff that came out later on. I'll be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of Obsidian's latest work when it comes to like Avowed, when it comes to, I mean, I haven't played Avowed. I was looking at it, but I didn't like Outer Worlds. I played it and I was like, man, this is like super disappointing. But I think given the creation engine and doing Fallout, they know how to do it. And Josh Sawyer is the head of the project, which is super good news, and I'm super pumped to hear. So I got some discussion for you. And if you're clicked on this video, I'm sure you wanted to hear some discussion. First of all, what does this actually mean for the next Fallout? They're not going to make it like Outer Worlds or Avowed, at least in my opinion. I think if they did, it would be kind of disappointing where you have this open zone type game. I think one thing that's been very disappointing lately has been the writing on a lot of these games, because in my opinion, I only played a bit of Outer Worlds. It was kind of boring. Like when I was playing it, I was like, okay, when's like the dialogue trees and the options and everything were built so beautifully, but the actual story and writing of the game itself was really boring. And I'm sure that Obsidian's heard this criticism before. So that's one thing I am a little worried about coming into this is I want you to understand that Obsidian right now is not the same team that made Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas was in production from 2008 to 2011. Actually, not even 2008. I think that was like pre-production from Fallout 3. They only made that game in 18 months, so they were on a time crunch. But it came out in 2011. That's 15 years ago. A lot of their head employees, a lot of the team at Obsidian is different now. And I think that's really important to go into because it's not going to feel like Fallout New Vegas. We're hoping that they take inspiration from it, but it's just not, right? And I think that it's really important to keep in mind that, again, it's also going to be a Bethesda-influenced game because they're likely going to use the creation engine to make this game. The question is just what does it look like when it's finally said and done? I mean, first of all, this is a dream scenario because Bethesda and fucking Todd, they're not going to touch this game for Fallout 5 at least, for at least 15 years. They're doing Elder Scrolls and their production times take forever now. So this makes so much sense on a business perspective. And I've been saying for years, like, just fucking give it to Obsidian. If you watch some of my other podcast episodes, like, I'm screaming at the mic. I'm like, give it to Obsidian. Like, they know what they're doing. They at least have an idea. And here's the great thing about Obsidian now. Even though it's not the same team, they have a lot of the guys that worked on the original Fallout. I mean, from what I hear, Tim Kaine, they lost Chris Avalon, I'm pretty sure. They have Josh Sawyer, who is huge, and a couple of the other veterans for Fallout. Which means when it comes to writing and understanding the story of Fallout, they got their people. That's one of my biggest gripes with the Bethesda Fallouts is I feel that they never really understood it like to a full deep extent, and because of that it's been very surface level. It's just like, okay, it's a nuked world, everything's destroyed. And I think that having Obsidian on the team is going to be huge because they understand the retrofuturism of Fallout, the deep dark theming. I mean, in Fallout 1 and 2 you can murder children. Like, it's a dark game. If you've never played Fallout 1 and 2, by the way, and you're a Fallout fan, you've got to. It really gives you a good understanding of the roots of the series. It's a very different type of game, but it's a very deep one. That being said, I've heard of a lot of talks. Like now everyone's talking like, okay, where's it gonna be, right? Are we talking? I've heard New Orleans get thrown around. They're like Florida, like, oh my, could we get a Miami Fallout? Could we get a New Orleans Fallout? Like even a Texas Fallout, which I think is a possibility, right? But I got a really strong idea of what I think Obsidian's gonna do. And you could call me crazy. This is just speculation, but I have played, I'm a huge Fallout fan. I've played every single game except for like tactics. So like I got a pretty good understanding of how it's changed over the years. And we have to understand that Bethesda Fallouts and Obsidian / Black Isle Fallouts are very different. We have 3 games from each to take on. We have Fallout 1, we have Fallout 2, and New Vegas from the Obsidian side, from the OG side, as you'll say, right? And then we have the Bethesdas. We have Fallout 3, Fallout 4, and Fallout 76, which are their takes on it. Bethesda likes to keep their games very close to home, right? Bethesda, originally, the team that worked on it was a Maryland studio. And, I mean, they set the Fallout games in their backyard. I mean, they put Fallout 3 in Washington, D.C. They threw Fallout 4 in Boston. Fallout 76, West Virginia. They like that area, I'm guessing, because they understand it really well. And I think that a Fallout 5 from Bethesda would be in someplace like New York. They really like the colonial aspect of Fallout. There's a really good video online called Bethesda Never Understood Fallout. And I think I accidentally paraphrased his video in my 5th episode of the New Vegas Talk Show. Because I had just watched it and I was literally just repeating talking points from this dude. But it's such a good video. I forget the guy that makes it, but just look it up. It's a great video about the retrofuturism of Fallout and how Bethesda never really got it. And so they just kind of made Elder Scrolls with guns. And that was a huge criticism of Fallout 3. They're like, this is literally just Oblivion with guns, right? But when it comes to the Obsidian Fallout, they're really big on the theming of the world. And there's very big... they're very big on philosophy and on deep motifs. Obsidian really likes that. And if you look at a game like Fallout New Vegas, which this whole talk show is based off of, I love this game for so many different reasons, but the biggest one being that it goes so deep. New Vegas really talks, like, playing through the story of New Vegas, if you play it blindly, sure, you can follow the pinpoints, you can just do the quests, you can do whatever you want, right? But if you're really taking the time to engage with the world of Fallout New Vegas, it's really asking you a philosophical question on how you think the world should be run. There's 4 main endings to the game, right? I mean, and if you've never played New Vegas, I won't spoil the whole game for you, right? But there's a few main endings, right? You're basically deciding the fate of New Vegas, right? And you'll see why I care about this when we talk about the new Fallout, because I think this goes into how I think they're going to craft the next one. When it comes to New Vegas, you can decide to let the NCR run it, which are essentially a group of capitalists that are trying to recreate the old government that existed. You could let Mr. House run it. He's a capitalist. The NCR is more of like a democratic institution, right? They're trying to recreate the old world. The problem is that they deal with bureaucracy and they deal with corruption. And that's a huge thing in New Vegas, where you look at the NCR and you're like, oh, this is very similar to the world that you know today, like in the United States. But you look at it and you're like, oh, wait, these guys are actually kind of corrupt. And these guys are kind of like, it's inefficient. And I think that's the problem with the NCR. It's very bureaucratic. You can look at Mr. House, who's very capitalistic, who looks at monetary first, and he keeps New Vegas running. I mean, he's been doing it through the whole Great War, but and I haven't seen the Fallout TV show, by the way. I know that they do the whole New Vegas. I'm just strictly talking about the game here. You're talking about Mr. House, who is looking at keeping it a safe haven and funding it for capitalism, but then you got to ask the question of, what ends justify the means? Because Mr. House, I mean, he's a ruthless businessman. Like, he'll do whatever the fuck. He doesn't care, right? But the cool thing about it is that he protects New Vegas. So you're like, okay, so for the outcome of Vegas, I mean, you have that, but then, I mean, I've lived in Las Vegas, right? Like, gambling is a huge epidemic there. You go at what cost, right? Like, are you really helping people's lives get better, or are you just extracting them for wealth, right? You look at Caesar's Legion, who's a band of fucking murderers and slave owners. But if you really look into it, Caesar's philosophy is power and order. I mean, he says clearly the old ways didn't work because the whole world blew to smithereens. So now the way that I'm running it is going to ensure order and that everything stays organized so you don't have a collapse like the last time. And it's crazy because anybody that's playing New Vegas for the first time, they're going to go, oh, well, Caesar's Legion, I mean, like, those are clearly the bad guys. And, like, in my opinion, they are, for sure. Like, they're literally murderers and slave owners, like, 100%. But if you really look at it, like, and you want to make an argument for Caesar's Legion, you can, because the old way didn't work. And Caesar has one of the most organized institutions in New Vegas. I mean, it's fucking cutthroat. They're, like, it's really barbaric for Caesar. But I mean, he keeps his guys together and he keeps them under fear. The problem is that it runs into the same Tandy thing. Like, we're talking about Fallout lore right here, right? And then you have Yes Man. You're like, fuck that. I'm going to take New Vegas for myself. But then you run into the problem of it not being so organized, right? So why do I talk about this? Why did I give you a 2-minute recap of New Vegas, right? When it comes to the way that they craft their games, they very much, and Josh Sawyer has talked about this, he very much likes the continuity of the world they built. And that's why you see the settings are very different and the environments are very different depending on which studio made the game. If you're looking at the Interplay Black Isle games, I mean, both of those games took place in California. I mean, you have Fallout 1, which takes place in the Los Angeles area, which goes all the way up to, I think, like the desert. And then you have Fallout 2, which takes place in Northern California. It even goes up to like Lake Tahoe and gosh, I know my geography now. This is crazy. I mean, I live in California now. But it goes all the way up to Reno, and it goes to San Francisco, and it goes down to the top of Fallout 1's map, but it's basically Northern California and Southern California. Then when you have New Vegas, it takes place in Nevada, but it kind of bleeds into California a little bit. They're all right next to each other. The reason they do this is because it keeps everything continuous. Is that how you say it, right? Continuous, right? It keeps it continuous, where the stories can affect each other, because they like building on the world. You play Fallout 1, and you are this vault dweller. I mean, you come out into this scary world, and you have this tiny town of Shady Sands, which is just trying to survive, basically, and you go into the politics of the world, and you see it's being run by mutants, and you're like, what the fuck, right? Like, what the hell is this problem, right? You go into Fallout 2, and then you see the aftermath of all this. This tiny town of Shady Sands blows up into an entire organization, like the New California Republic. You see this little girl from Fallout 1 turn into this old lady who now runs one of the biggest institutions in all of California. And you see the remnants of what happens 80 years after the mutants, right? Like, you get to really see how the world evolves. Then you watch New Vegas, which takes place even further after, and you see how the NCR starts to change from what it was in Fallout 2 to where it becomes more bureaucratic. It becomes a little less on what Tandy wanted, because she runs into the problem of Caesar's Legion, where you have one strong leader, Tandy, and then what happens when they go is that the organization tends to be less organized, right? So Josh really likes that world. Josh Sawyer, the director at Obsidian. And the problem with Bethesda is they fragmented and they disconnected by going fucking 3,000 miles away to the East Coast, right? So what I think Josh wants to do, and this is how I'm sorry, I took 5 minutes of your time recapping Fallout. I'm a nerd. I will talk about this forever. I think that what Josh wants to do is he feels like this is his last shot at a Fallout game. I've watched interviews from Josh Sawyer. He's an incredible game developer, seriously. And Josh, I think he understands that having a Fallout to work on is not guaranteed. I know that he loves these worlds, and I know that even Tim Kaine and who knows, maybe Chris Avalon tries to come back on and tries to work on it as well. These guys understand that the world is very delicate, and taking a crack at a Fallout game is a big deal. Like, it's a big deal. I think, and I know Josh has talked about this, he really wants to wrap up like the whole NCR Caesar's Legion thing that took place in New Vegas, right? He wants to wrap up that storyline. We know he does. Especially because he's talked about, like, man, if we had another chance to take a crack at that game, like, I don't think he's going to do a New Vegas 2, though, because we've already done New Vegas. So this leads a couple, and this is my theory. So you've waited 15 minutes. Thank you for waiting. I have a theory, right? I have 3 frontrunners about where I think this game could take place. I'll give you You know, I'll tie for third place. So third place, I think they could do Phoenix, Arizona. And I don't think they're going to do it, like real talk, because I've been, and these are all places I've been, by the way, so this is why I really like have a good idea of it. So Phoenix, the problem with Phoenix is that, I mean, the good things that are going for it is right next to Las Vegas. It's like, it's a 6-hour drive away. And it's close enough to that the geopolitics of the new California Republic and of the aftermath of the whole events of New Vegas and even the Fallout TV show are close enough to home. I mean, even what was it? Honest Hearts, one of the DLCs for Fallout New Vegas actually takes place in Arizona. I forget which one it is, but there is a link there. It's very, very close, right? Again, I don't think they're gonna do it because it's visually it will look the same as New Vegas. I'm telling you, and this is someone that has been. I lived in Las Vegas. I actually just took a trip out to Phoenix like 2 weeks ago. Visually, it's the same. It's just desert, and that was a complaint about Fallout New Vegas is that it was very brown. Like people are walking around and they're like, "Man, it's very brown. It's just so desert vibey," and it's like, yeah. You're in the middle of the fucking Mojave Desert. Of course it's going to look like that. I'm telling you, I have driven on I-15 and on I-10 and even up through Arizona all the way to like the Prescott area, right? Dude, it's just sand for miles around, except for like the Sonoran Desert. It starts to turn into cactuses, so woohoo, you get a little more green. But dude, it's just fucking sand. It's sand and dirt and nothing, right? And I think that I think that visually it's gonna look very similar to New Vegas, and I feel that Josh Sawyer and the team will feel like it's a wasted opportunity, and I feel like the players will feel like this is more of the same. Like this is just like more desert. So I don't think they're gonna do that. I do think Texas is a possibility, but I think that it's kind of far. Like in my opinion, I think Texas would be a great setting for it because it's very Western, kind of like what Josh and the guys liked about New Vegas. There's a lot of culture, a lot of themes about Texas. It like if you do something like El Paso, it could border Mexico, which I think could be such an interesting concept, but we'll talk about this in a minute. I think Texas is a possibility, but I think Phoenix is more likely. But again, I don't think they're going to do it. I think number 2 for my runner-up, and I have a number 1, and I will go right into it. My number 2 is Salt Lake City. And I think when I first went to Salt Lake City, the first thing I thought was like, why haven't they made a game here, like a game like Fallout? Because it's and Obsidian, for scope-wise, they have made their games a little smaller in scope lately since Fallout New Vegas. And that's something really important to keep in mind because at the end of the day, this team just got smaller in size. And it's really important to keep in mind. If you're not familiar with the Salt Lake City geography, like in real life, it's a very narrow up and down city. Basically, there's a mountain on each side. There's a mountain on the left, there's mountains on the right, and it's a very long city that goes up and down that only has about 30 minutes drive time of width, but it has hours of north to south, which could be very linear in a map building sense, which could help Josh and the team make a map more realistically with their smaller team. And I think Salt Lake City is close enough that it could still have the effects of the geopolitics of Fallout New Vegas and of even Fallout 1 and 2 if they really wanted to trickle in that, or the TV show. But I think it's far enough away that they can really build their own story there too. I'm pretty sure, and I haven't played the DLCs in a while, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the caravans talk about there are tribes that come from way up north by Salt Lake City. There's a lot of, like, it's a little pocket in northern Utah. And geography-wise, for a setting of a game, it's beautiful. I mean, you have this giant Salt Lake, right? Which you could use as, I guess, water terrain, kind of like Lake Mead. Like, there's so many cool things they could do with it, right? And in Fallout New Vegas, they wanted to work more with Lake Mead and the Colorado River and the Hoover Dam. They wanted to develop that a little more. And they just didn't have the time because it was a very constrained project. They made that game in 18 months, which, by the way, is fucking amazing that the team was able to put that out so quickly because that game had so much content packed into it. It's like the gift that keeps on giving, and it was made in such a short period of time. I personally think that games that were made on time crunches, like, they don't have time to second guess. They just fucking put out the ideas there. That's why Majora's Mask is such a good game, in my opinion. But Salt Lake City could be a great place because the caravans talk about it. There is a direct route. Like it's far, but Salt Lake City is down the road from Las Vegas. It's a far drive, but you take I-15 or the 15, as Californians say, all the way up or all the way down. It connects Las Vegas and Salt Lake City. So, and you could even, Zion is right on the way over, which I went to Zion in real life. That shit's awesome, right? But I don't think Salt Lake City is number one. I think it's a really strong option, and I think if we don't see like Phoenix or like Western Texas, I don't think they're going to do like Dallas. They have to do something by the coast because I think having water geography is important, right? And we'll talk about that. Here's where I think my number one is, and you've been waiting patiently. This is my pitch for the Obsidian Fallout. I think they're going to do San Diego. That's my pitch for it. Why San Diego? I mean, like a lot of people, it's so under the radar. I haven't heard people talk about it, but me in real life, I am a geography buff, bro. I love going to different places, and I live in Southern California. And I'm telling you, I think San Diego is a perfect location for Obsidian to go and really sink their teeth in. And I think that it's definitely on their drawing boards. I don't know if it's 100% confirmed because it's very big in scope. But from a map world building perspective, San Diego is perfect. Perfect with a capital P. So mark me down now. If they announce it and it's all San Diego, and then just say I called it in 2026. I called it, right? Here is exactly why I think San Diego is a great option. Number one, map-wise, it has everything. San Diego has everything you want in a map. It has coastal. It has an island, Coronado Island, which would be a beautiful thing to see post-apocalyptic, right? It has a dense city, ruins, which would be very different than Bethesda City ruins, because if you go to the original Fallout, Los Angeles doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anymore. It's a crater in the ground because it got bombed so hard. And I think that's something that Bethesda and Obsidian take very differently. I mean, because Obsidian is... New Vegas is a little bit different than the original two, in that New Vegas dodged the bombs. It didn't get bombed, right? But in the original Fallout 1 and 2, Los Angeles got bombed so hard that it does not exist, and there is no LA to explore. And if Bethesda were making this, and if Bethesda was making a New York, they wouldn't have a giant crater for New York. They'd be like, oh, well, we want people to explore downtown, so it's going to be like a decayed, abandoned New York. No. When you get fucking nuclear bombed, there is nothing left. There's nothing, right? So I think seeing the city of San Diego would be very interesting. If you go to the north, there's all coastline, which would be beautiful and interesting to explore. But if you go to the east of San Diego, you actually have mountains and you have desert all the way to the east. So they can have desert geography and they can have desert like people. And keep in mind that the scope doesn't have to be exactly one for one, because San Diego isn't necessarily a desert. It's a little far out there to the east. But they can make a desert, absolutely. They can make a mountainous terrain, which we obviously saw with the Black Rock Mountain in New Vegas. Was a super interesting thing that they did with what was her name, Tabitha, the super mutant. They were able to put some super interesting quests there. So they have mountains to the east of San Diego. They have a desert to the east of those mountains. And then here's the most interesting thing, I think, geographically. San Diego is a border town, if you don't know. It literally borders Tijuana, Mexico. Having that, a meaningless border, a border that was once at one point so heavily secured and fortified, now be fucking meaningless, but separate two completely distinct cultures, would be so interesting to see in a game. So interesting, because you could have cartel members of Raiders or whatever the fuck, right? You could have a whole a level of Mexican gangs. Obviously, you could subtitle to Spanish, whatever, or you could have them speak English for whatever reason. But it would be so interesting because you're going to see two different sides and how they developed after the bombs, because they're going to be different. Because in the real world, because I've been to Tijuana many times, when you cross over, it's like your world changes. Like San Diego crossing into TJ, from one little border wall, everything changes. There's a lot more housing, the roads change. You'd be so surprised what one little wall and one little imaginary line can do for two different cultures. Because again, you cross from San Diego to TJ, the whole world is different, and it's super interesting. So I think And here's the biggest thing that I think they're going to do San Diego. It is right next to the original maps of where Fallout 1 and 2 are. Like, it's right there. It's right next to Fallout 1. So literally you can have the NCR, you can have the remnants of what happens to the NCR as time goes on. I think that although they want to leave the ending of New Vegas ambiguous, they also still want to keep developing what happened with the new California Republic, what new factions are popping up, what happened with the breakdown of Caesar's Legion, right? They can do all of that in San Diego because it's right now. And they can, here's the cool thing, they can do a lot of callbacks to the original game. Because the original game took place right north of that in the Los Angeles area, right? I think that having that as an option could be something so awesome. But at the end of the day, we really don't know what they're going to do. And that's what I'll say. But my prediction now is I think they're going to go to San Diego. And I think that the fact that Josh Sawyer and the guys have the keys to this project is such a blessing because they understand that the way the gaming industry is right now, this may be their only shot to work on a Fallout because we have no clue what it's going to look like further down the line. And even Josh Sawyer has said it himself. Like I don't think he thought he was going to work on another game. So the fact that they're getting greenlit for it, it means as fans, we get more content, which is good. Even if it ends up not being that good. Like, I'd rather have a game than not. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather, like, what's Fallout 76? I did not like Fallout 76. I haven't played it in years, so it's probably a way different game now. But I was happy that it existed versus having nothing. At the end of the day, we don't know what's going to come from it. And it's really exciting to talk and speculate about all this stuff. But we got about probably like 3 or 4 years before we're going to find out. And Obsidian tends to make games faster than Bethesda does. And I fucking love Asha, bro. Asha, okay, I'm going to make a whole separate video on this, but Asha on Xbox, like, she's only been CEO for a few months. This lady has lit this company on fire. And I love it because we've been sitting here for years with Bethesda and Obsidian both having created this game under the same umbrella, and Bethesda's like, no, I'm going to wait. You know what I think? I think this is the end of the road for Todd. Todd God fucking Howard. I think he would never have wanted this to like, he would have never given off the rights to Obsidian. He said on interviews, he's like, no, we like to make our projects in-house. We're not going to want to give it to another studio. And here they are handing it off to another studio. Why is that? It's because it's not Todd's decision. It was Asha who probably I just watched a video of like the stick figure guy explains, right? Of literally like waltzing in. And she probably just went like, yeah, well, why don't we just give this to Obsidian? I mean, like, you're not going to make anything with it for another 15 years. And he's probably like, well, have you seen 76? And, you know, yeah, it's 76 is intimidating to me because it's like a whole multiplayer MMO thing, and it's hundreds of hours. And when I played it, it was slop content. So I was like, why would I even want to play this? That's just my opinion on 76, though, for that. But yeah, we have a lot of cool stuff to see, and I'm super pumped that this is a reality. I'm probably going to make follow-ups on this, but it's not, there's a few key takeaways. It's not going to be like New Vegas. It's going to be different. It's going to be way different than New Vegas. It's going to be its own thing, and I think that's awesome, and I think it's going to take place in either San Diego or Salt Lake City, depending on the scope. I think if they want to do smaller scope, they're probably going to do Salt Lake City, because then they can do whatever kind of scope they want. It's very narrow. It can be a very linear map for them. But I think if they want to go big and they want to hit a home run, I think they're going to go to San Diego because it's right next to it. They can continue the story. They can keep on going with what's up with Caesar's Legion and everything. And if they want to do a DLC to Las Vegas or Phoenix or even Salt Lake City, they absolutely can because they're close enough by. But mark my words, they're not going back to the East Coast. They're not doing it because it's just Josh Sawyer has talked about how he prefers Western Fallout games because they, number one, have a different feel, but number two, they worked really hard to develop a story there. Like, they've developed so much world building, and if they go to New Orleans or if they go to Miami, which people are talking about, they're throwing all that away for something new. And I think Josh doesn't want to do that. I think they very much want to continue what they got. That's all I got for you. I'm super pumped. So let me know what you think in the comments below. This is a little shorter of an episode. I'm just so pumped. Obsidian's working on it, dude. I'm super excited to... I want to do a replay of New Vegas now. Now I want to go back and play that. And guys, remember, even if it's not good, you will always have Fallout New Vegas. And you will always have Fallout 1 and 2. They're not going anywhere. So you have the old games. So play that in the meantime. But yeah, I have another episode for you guys next week. I recorded it already. This was not how I planned on doing my comeback. But if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. I do podcasts like this every week. And I'm going to be doing some other content pretty soon. And I'm not a consistent uploader. So hit the bell so you know when I do upload. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.